Good morning. May God's blessings overflow with His mercy as we reflect on the readings and celebrate the Eucharist. Give thanks. In the Gospel today, Jesus was praying. In other passages, says Jesus spent the whole night in prayer. How could He do that? We cannot even pray for 15 minutes. We cannot even pray the rosary without thinking about other things. We get so distracted by our lives, which has become very complicated. And also, just by being human, life is really complicated to start with. In the first reading, there was controversy. They were quarreling. St. Paul, St. Peter, St. James. Should we force the Gentiles to live like Jews, to be circumcised, to not to eat meat and other forbidden? Very holy men. They were quarreling. There are sometimes when we could not communicate. Happens in our lives also. Becomes very complicated. And so, how do we pray? Teach us to pray. First of all, no one can teach you how to pray if you do not have the capacity to sit still. Mapadali tayo lagi. Hindi pa ako nakapaghumili, may mga tubitingin na kaagad. Okay lang naman tumingin, pero yung yuyug-yugin pa na ganyan, nagmamadali dahil, siyempre may pupunta tayo sa opisina, pero bakit ginagawaan natin lahat yan? The brain needs silence and meditation on what is really important. Separate the interesting from the important. There are a lot of interesting things now on TikTok and Facebook. We should focus on the important things, especially Father. Also, we have lost the tradition of mystical theology, mysticism, silence, transcendence, the awe that you feel. We don't do that anymore. That's why we have a lot of emotional problems also. A lot of the mental health problems, a lot of the emotional distress that young people are suffering now. You just pray. You do not need to pay psychotherapists a lot of money just to listen to you, and then they will just tell you, because of your childhood, because you pray well. Do research. Then, come to the most important point. You just sit there in silence so that you will know what kind of father you have. Take away from your understanding of God the coloring that your experience of your own father has given you. Takes a long time also if your father was not a very good father. Just like one of our priests, when he was a small boy, father puts him in a sack and then beats him with his. So when you say, Our Father, do you not remember the beatings that you had? Purge, cleanse your mind of any negative influences that your own father has given you. Because my father was, he do not have enough words, he was a soldier. So I was also disciplined. He brought nice things every time he came home. Read Thomas Aquinas. So I have a different understanding of my father, our father, and my fellow priest, who was beaten by his father almost every day when he was a child. So what kind of father do we pray to? Santa Claus gives us everything that we have. that we ask, and that's all the prayer that we do, hingi nang hingi lang tayo. That's why I wanted you to meditate on this song. We get so distracted, we do not listen to the words. That our God is a hidden God. Holy darkness, blessed night. You should be at home in that so that you can pray maybe the whole night. I could not even do it, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. Just follow what I'm saying because I have a doctorate in theology. I'm also so distracted because I have a lot of things to do. So I fight against us and think against that and think that. You let God be God. Give me this, give me that at once. Otherwise, I will transfer to another religion or holy darkness, blessed night. Heaven's answer hidden from our sight. You are just a human being. He is God. He knows everything. Trust Him. Do not give Him a deadline. Just like what you do in your office, there's a deadline, there's every schedule there. You could not do that with God. Our God is a living God. He's a God of freedom. So you only have to wait. As the song says, as we await you, O God of silence. Very nice. Just wait there. Let God be God. Just wait until you hear His voice. And as the Psalm said, if you hear His voice, harden not your hearts. And as you embrace this holy night, your heart will not be as hard anymore. Because this God tests your soul in the fires of affliction. Once Teresa of Avila was complaining to God. Said, I'm faithful to you. I do my duty. And then I have all these afflictions. Then Saint Teresa said he heard God telling her, that's how I treat my friends. And she told God, that's why you have very few friends. Because most people would like to invert their umbrella and you will fill that with dollars. They wave their passports and they can go to the United States or Australia or Canada. That's why you have very few friends. God tries our soul, our endurance in the fires of affliction. He will teach our hearts to grieve. Grieve for Ukraine. The Russians are targeting homes, civilians. Imagine if you do not grieve, a single person, Vladimir Putin, having us all by our necks. So it is in the barren soul of our loneliness that God will plant His seed. Para makita talaga na Diyos. Once, Satan and Jesus, a saint was telling this parable. Satan took a piece of dust, one handful of dust, and threw it to the winds. What he wanted to say is that, Jesus, they will not listen to you. All your words will be, you will be a voice crying in the wilderness. Jesus took a piece of soil, looked at his father, then a plant grew out of the barren soil. That's our soul. If we embrace this holy darkness, the seed will be planted and it will grow. That's how you pray. It's not always to whom it may concern. That's what you say, God. This is to certify that I need money to pay my debts and I need it by tonight. You do not pray like that. That's why our prayers are not answered. Because we could only hear God's voice. He could only plant His seed in the deepest hour of darkness. That's where we will be given wealth untold, according to this song. In the deepest hour of darkness. Oh, sometimes, a lot of times, I pray, you are joyful. God listens to you. Created all those galaxies and the planets and the supernova and the pulsars and the quasars in the very vast universe. He listens to you. But most of all, you listen to Him because He lives in holy darkness. God lives in the blessed night. So how do you pray? Let silence still your spirit. Yung hindi nagugulo. Let silence still your spirit, then God's riches will fill your soul.